Hi, welcome to Beauty Inc. My name is Cameron. I work here in Bozeman, Montana, and today I just wanted to help people understand the different kinds of procedures that you can get to get permanent brows. A lot of times we call it permanent brows. It's not really permanent forever. It's not the same as getting, say, a tattoo like this that never leaves. It's actually a semi-permanent ink that we use, like this Permablend here. So your brows are gonna last a couple of years usually. Year and a half, 2 years, and then you're gonna need a color touch-up. And that's okay, because these things done on our face really wanna not necessarily have forever. You're gonna age, you may want things to be a little different. So it's really semi-permanent makeup. As you can see, my brows are done. I think a lot of people fear that it's gonna be really bold or it's gonna look a black marker on their eyes. And although I suppose you could do that, most professional artists, they're not going for that. But I get a lot of questions about, oh, you microblade, or what kind of brows do you do? And so just to end some of that confusion, I wanted to do a short video today. So microblading. I personally do not microblade. There are artists out there who do, and they can do a great job. And what you're gonna use is something like this. Hopefully you can see that. It's basically a wand, and they have all different sizes and angles with a little blade at the end. So what the artist will do is take time. As you see, I have many different browns here. They will find the match for you, and then this will go in a little cup, just like any other tattoo artist, and they'll take this little blade and they'll dip it in there, and then they will make little slits, and they will little cut, and then they'll dip it back in, and it gives more of a exact hair look. And then they make multiple hair looks, so when it's done, it's like you're having multiple hairs there. Now, some people believe that that kind of creates a collagen buildup because the skin says, oh, there's an injury here. I have heard some people say in years that they think maybe that it could cut the follicle, and then like if you're already suffering with loss of brows, it could keep that from growing. There are differing opinions. You research it, you look at it, see what you want to do. A lot of people love this. It kind of was the first thing that came out, so you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, you microblade or microblading. And that's what that is. It's a microblade that they put in ink and then cut hairs, make it, put that ink in there. In both processes, the other process that is used is like, it uses a pen like this. So when I turn this on, this is the same thing I use for small tattoos. This actually holds a needle with many needles that I use on the face for micro needling. It has all different kinds of speeds. You can see it. So it can go up or down. This is similar to what they use in a tattoo shop. A lot of times you've seen the big thing that comes around. They're a little bulkier, and sometimes they're a little louder. But it's basically a tattoo gun. So what you do with that, this would all be sanitized and wrapped, and then you would take a brand new needle, a very tiny needle. The cartridge would go in, and then the artist kind of outlines the shape that you come up with, and then fills it in. I say when you get powder brows, what really happens is it looks like, just like now, you go get your eyebrows waxed, they're a great shape, and then to make them darker, you take a pen, a pencil, a colored pencil. I sometimes just use eyeshadow, and you put that on there to darken it in the level that you want. Well, this, we're gonna find your shade, and then it's just gonna look like you have your brows colored in like you would normally do. They have ombre brows, which means basically the tail of the brow is dark, and then as you get up to the bulb right here, it's gonna get lighter. That's the way I like to do mine. I think that looks very natural, and I think it flows well. I like a powder brow. It's tiny little dots, almost like a pointillism that you're tattooing in there. I did study microblading a little bit in school, but the cutting is just not for me. But a lot of people really like it again. Now, the new thing that's kind of coming out, because I think some people are wanting to get away from this and they like this, but they also like the idea of having those natural hairs. So when someone looks at you, it's like, oh, it looks very natural. So now what they're doing a lot, and I'm learning about, is nano brows. So what a nano means is just super, right, nano is very small. So you're taking the pen, you're doing just like I said for the powder brow, even the ombre, dark to light, and then you're taking a tattoo needle and making, just like if your tattoo artist was to do a feather on you, or you've seen tattoo artists who they may be doing some kind of animal, it has hair. So you can tattoo some little lines, some little hair-like strokes. That's also done sometimes when people do pigment on bald skin. They'll do some dots, but they'll also make some little hairs. And so nano brows is kind of marrying the two together, but you're always just using a tattoo pen, sometimes called a gun. It's very important that you understand what's going to be done and how it's done, and I think that will really help you. You want to make sure that you get a good color that matches your undertones, whether you're cool or warm, but also know that you're going to leave with them dark. If they're not really done in a dark way, the semi-permanent kind of ink, they are gonna fade, and you'll be going, oh, if you left with a perfect color, then you're gonna fade 4 or 5 shades and you wouldn't be happy. All of this takes 2 sessions. It just takes 2 sessions to get it right. The second time, we can really sharpen it up, get the color, and sometimes, depending on your skin, the color won't oxidize or come out exactly like we want. So we have things, I just got this in for a client that's a really burnished kind of orange warm, because especially, or if you have brows that were done a long time ago, they have that blue kind of cooling effect that happens with blondes a lot. So you need to warm it up, and they can do that in the second session. Let's talk about how this is done. There are 2 schools of thought. Now, you can have this done without any numbing cream. A lot of the European ladies, and some things that I've learned, if you numb the brows or the lips or an arm that you're going to get a tattoo on, it does impede the implantation of ink. It kind of stops that, think about all those cells are so it doesn't take the ink. So it will work better if you can do it without numbing. Now, I find for my clients, when doing the face, people ask me often, does it hurt? I'm like, you tattoo in your face. Yeah. But there are different kinds of numbing. I use this, which is incredible. Really has made it so comfortable for my clients. I had mine done recently without any numbing. It was doable for sure. It took less passes because the ink can really get in there quickly. So just know if you use numbing, it could slow that down a little bit. But I find just using a titch both makes my client comfortable and also still gives me the ability to implant ink like I need to. There's also, after you take a pass, maybe you can do the first pass without any numbing, which is great. Your artist can get the ink in there, and then there's secondary numbing, and that doesn't seem to stop it as much. So if you're like, okay, I made it through the first pass, your artist can put a little on there and kind of just make that rest of it a little bit more comfortable. But I wanted you to be aware of that. When you go in, the longest part of the whole process will be mapping your brows, and there's all kind of tools for that. You see a lot of people use string. We know exactly how far in this is supposed to be, where your arch needs to come. And your brows are sisters. They're not twins. They are not twins. I can tell you from doing this, each side of the face is sometimes radically different. So really as an artist, what you're trying to do is cheat one side. So this side of me, I always lift this eyebrow, but you'll see my artist really, she took that in account and then evened them out. What you do and how you do that, a lot has to do with measurements. How far is it? How deep is this one? How deep is that one? This could take up to an hour. You and your artist are gonna work together, because just because I like a modern brow, I have a lot of clients that are in their 70s, maybe their 80s, and they just like a simple arch. And if that's what you want on your face, I want you to have that. So make sure you have an artist that listens to you and your style and how you want it. And you're gonna go back and forth. And we are women, we know what we like. So I have people sometimes, I love it, but they're like, this is too much, this is too bold. And then we work together. But you're gonna see things like that. I even sometimes use this. It measures it out so I can make sure that I'm getting exactly the same. And that's gonna be the longest part of the process. I have found a lot of artists start with doing a tiny single needle. I found in my practice, I like to use a very, very small 3 round to get kind of the line, the outside of the brow, and then I like to use a mag. You can look that up and what that is, but that's several needles in a line. I find that it colors it in quicker, you get more ink quicker, and less time in the chair. So I'm always about less pain, less time, better results. That's me. Different people have different schools of thought. You know, anytime you're working with something that's artistry, that can be part of it. So now you're ready. Set a consultation, look in your area and see what makes sense, who has good reviews, who people really liked. Make sure your artist takes the time to get your shape correctly, get your color correctly for your skin, and then talk about the numbing procedure and talk about what you want. Do you want the microblading? Do you want a powder brow? Do you want a nano, which is kind of both? So this should help you to be able to get started in that. And remember, aftercare is so, so important. Just a little bit of soap. It's actually, I just use Dial antibacterial. I give this to my clients, suds it up, that's it, and rinse it for like a week. Just let it, don't mess with it. Don't put makeup on it. Don't put anything in there because it's an open wound. And then I like to use an aftercare that sometimes you can use A&D. I like to use this. It's got a little bit of silver colloquium, which is really good. People have theirs own compounded sometimes, but you want very organic, shea butter, maybe a little antibiotic cream, and a little bit of like a Benadryl kind of thing. So we're working on that. Make sure you do that. Very light amount, let them heal, they will peel, leave them alone, just let them, just a little simple wash, a little simple ointment, and they will go through peeling stage, they will go through a disappearing stage, you'll think, what did I sit there for? And then they will come back. I love mine right now, and these are healed. It takes about 6 weeks. You have to be patient. And then you're gonna go back in, sharpen that up, and then in those 6 weeks, you're gonna be great. I love waking up every day with lips, eyeliner, and eyebrows, and not have to worry about it. So please DM me, call me, PM me if you have any questions. If you just want a consultation, come in. We'll talk about what you got going on and how we can make this easy for you. Have a great day.